Hello, you guys. I'm Carlos. I'm here today with my good friend Jinx Barber. Thank you for being here. We're going to hear everything about what he has to say about from darkness to light, from hard times to hope, because we are, of course, in the season of yes, Lent, but most importantly, Easter. We're looking forward to Easter. But before we get into a whole conversation, I just want to invite you to subscribe. If you're seeing us on YouTube, please subscribe and like us, and invite some others that they may want to hear about this message that we're doing for the annual conference. If you're listening to us in Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening to your podcast, please also like us, subscribe, and also share it with somebody else so that more people can know what's going on in the annual conference. So once again, thank you for being here today, Jinx, and why don't you introduce yourself to the good people of the Oklahoma Conference. I know that many people know you, but just in case that just a refresher of who you are.
Thanks for having me, Carlos. My name is Jinx Barber. I'm ordained elder here in the Oklahoma Annual Conference, and I'm currently the pastor at Piedmont United Methodist Church in northwest Oklahoma City.
Awesome. Yay. All right. Well, thank you for that. And let us go right into the matter of the thing. So this month of April, we are kind of at the end of Lent and getting into Easter, and a lot of the topics and things that we're writing for the contact and overall all our messaging that we have for the communications at the annual conference is all about hope, from darkness to light. So what makes the Easter story a story of hope?
Well, I think that's perfectly appropriate, the darkness to light, because Good Friday, the day that Jesus was crucified, was the day that all hope ceased. And, that Friday afternoon, that Saturday day was hopeless. And then on Sunday, the surprise of hope re-entering the world, I think that's a message that we all need so badly right now. We get caught up in all the bad stuff that's going on, and we forget to have that hope and that wonder of, this is an amazing world. And we talked about the environmental aspect and how, it always seems darkest before the dawn, but the world can heal itself as long as we, start going back to the right direction. And Easter is a call for us to reorient our lives towards Christ and to begin that process of healing again.
Yeah. So on that note, one of my favorite passages is that of the walk to Emmaus. So kind of what you're saying, expanding kind of what you're saying, that these disciples are going, their heads down, all hope is lost.
But we had hoped.
Right, that's right. What we have hoped is gone. There's nothing for us left here, so let's go back home and kind of see what we can do there, going back to what we know. And it is in the road that Jesus shows up, and I love it when Jesus breaks the bread. It is in the breaking of the bread, and when they're at the table, their eyes are open and say, "Oh my gosh, he's resurrected. He's with us." And we're in our hearts burning when he was telling us all about Scripture, and this is great. And they come back running back to Jerusalem. So you're talking about all these. We're going through challenging times. I mean, there is it doesn't matter where we are in that spectrum, or spectrums now that seems to be in whatever we are socially, politically, theologically. It just seems that we are just that edge, at the edge seems like anyway, with somebody else. So what is your word about these hope or the love or these when as you're saying, when things look the darkest, how can we hold on to that hope?
When I first went to Piedmont, they have the 3 crosses and the empty tomb, and I wanted to do Easter Vigil there, because to me, that's a sacred waiting, and I feel like that's where we are in this world right now. We don't have the control. We are not the ones in control. That we're not necessarily the ones being crucified either.
Right.
But we are in this pattern of all we can do at this point is hope that Easter Vigil results in Easter morning, and I think that right now that a lot of people are looking for that hope and clinging to the hopes that they have, because, I mean, quite frankly, if we look at the world, it's becoming a dark place, but that's the lesson of Easter, is that the darkness is not the end. And so that's kind of what I've been really clinging to, that hope, especially in this season. And I've been seeing in the people in my church how they've been clinging to that hope, and how, you know, they'll come to me and they'll say, you know, I was hoping, and it finally came through. And it's like that, those mini Easters all throughout their lives.
Right.
And really, that's the most wonderful part of Easter, is knowing that it's kind of like the semicolon. You know, the worst thing is never the last thing. And so that's where to me, Easter, I love Christmas, but I love Easter more.
Yeah. That's the center of our faith. And you're saying about that holy waiting. I think that Paul is always on the, you know, Jesus is coming back, but in the meantime, be nice to each other. You know, love each other. Listen to what God is doing in your midst. Yes, we're all waiting for Jesus, but kind of this holy waiting. We just holy waiting all this time.
Well, and are we holy waiting with, you know, twiddling our thumbs?
Right, exactly.
Are we holy waiting preparing the kingdom?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's where I think as United Methodists, we're so we're moving back into the preparing the kingdom again, because for so long I think we were waiting, and I think we realized that just waiting is not sacred.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, like back to another passage, the 10 bridesmaids, that some were ready with their oil, and some were, like you're saying, you're like, well, I don't know. Yeah, holy waiting. I like it. All right. So we are also, I mean, I think that this leads into, you talk already about this environmental component of our hope and of our stewardship of Earth. So how did your point of view on how this environment and stewardship of Earth ties on with the Easter story?
Again, it's that we've been pillaging the earth for the resources for so long, and we're starting to reap the whirlwind, so to speak. I think one of my favorite theologians is Sally McHugh, and she did a work called "The Universe is the Body of God," basically. And part of her thesis is how we treat our world is how we interact with God. And if we're pillaging our world for resources, we're stealing from God. And that really opened my eyes to more of an environmental stewardship. You know, and so I think that again, we're coming out of this time when we were I won't say blind, but we were pillaging the earth basically without any understanding of what it was doing.
Right.
Now we start to understand what it's doing, and we see that it's not beneficial and it's not sustainable. And I think that again, we're in that season of Lent. We might not be at the Easter Vigil yet of the Holy Waiting, but I think eventually we will get to that Easter to where we start to repair the world and that sustain that hope, because you know, we don't see a lot of the damage here in a first world country, but in third world countries, I mean, it's really bad, and they are taking the brunt of what the world is giving back when we've caused these imbalances in the world.
Yeah. So, and do you have any tips for the good people of the Common Conference to, you know, kind of be practical stewards for, you know, the earth, if any? Well,
I think the biggest thing is, you know, understanding that we are in a season of Lent and that we will be in a season of holy waiting. The best thing, and again, I see this all throughout the Oklahoma Annual Conference, is people are really waking up to, you know, let's take care of our churches, not just our building, but the land around them. Let's take care of our communities. Let's take care of, you know, let's be advocates for people who can't speak for themselves. And, you know, the environment can't speak for itself. And so, again, I think we are taking back the mantle that United Methodists have always have of being on the cutting edge, and we gave that up for a long time. And I think we're just now realizing, hey, that's who we were, and that is who we are. And so I think as we come out of, I mean, we're still coming out of COVID, we're still coming out of, you know, the disaffiliation, we're still in a politically tumultuous time, and I think that all of these things coming together at the same time, everyone feels like that's the darkness. Well, but that's not the end. And I've seen such good things here in the Oklahoma Annual Conference. The fruit's going to happen. And that's, a friend of mine once said, mountaintops are great for pretty pictures and sunsets, but the real fruit's grown in the valley. And I think that we've been in the valley now, and we're starting to see the fruit.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. That would be that should be one of yours with a picture of you with that phrase. That would be great. All right. So so what is your message for everybody who's listening, for the annual conference, for a lay person who's listening to this, for a clergy colleague of ours? What is your message from you in this Easter? As we wait, what would be your word for them on this Easter?
It's easy to say that all hope is lost. The reality is it's not, and we have to hang on to that hope. And even if that's the only thing we can hang on to, it will come to fruit, and that's the promise of Easter. But we can't always hold on alone. The people who walked to Emmaus, they were together as they walked.
Right.
The women, they didn't go to the tomb alone. They
Right.
went together, and that's the other lesson I think that we need in this is we need one another as we are in this holy waiting.
Yeah, don't do it by yourself. It is not wise. Yes. Well, I think that as you say, I think that I agree with you that I see the sprouts or the sprouts of this revival in the conference in the United Methodism. As you say, kind of we are remembering who we were, what we have done in the past, and somebody who I always say I was very, I don't know, it's interesting to me because I'm not originally from the States. I'm from Mexico. And my family, which is an odd thing, is 5 generations United Methodists. So the early missionaries who went to Mexico basically talked to my family, and they became Methodists at the time, either Episcopal or Episcopal South, whatever it was. But all this to say is that I saw what the Methodist movement did in Mexico and the transformation that happened, and they truly became an alternative of living, an alternative of voice for political, theological, social. I mean, it was a whole transformation, and when I came here, it's not that I didn't see that. Don't get me wrong. It's that but look what you have done there. Look all the wonderful things you guys did there. So as I said, I'm a product of all what you guys did and continue to do, and I think that taking that mantle back again and saying this is an amazing thing that we can do, not only there but now here to ourselves, kind of thing. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that what drew me to the United Methodist Church was grace. And then as I learned more about the United Methodist Church, I learned about our history and the richness of it. And then I have been to a couple of churches, and I'm like, where's that history? And that is the challenge as pastors, is to remind and to re-educate our people and say, look, this is who we are. This isn't some crazy thing. This is how we follow Jesus. And sometimes we follow Jesus by standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Sometimes we follow Jesus by, prayer, obviously. But, a lot of the ministry of Jesus was a ministry of presence. And the United Methodist Church is starting to recognize that the ministry of presence is needed again everywhere around this world.
That's right. The ministry of presence, holy waiting, hope is... We're still there, and the darkness is not the last word.
Yeah.
Is that a good wrap up?
Happy Easter.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us, and see you next time. Hello, you guys. I'm Carlos. I'm here today with Stan and Kurt. They are from Bartlesville First, and I'm just happy that you guys are here today. You're going to hear all about the ministry, and we're going to, as I said, hear all about it, but just in a minute. But before we start, I just want to invite you, if you are watching us on YouTube, please like us, subscribe, so that you know and you're aware of when each time that we drop a new episode of the podcast. If you're listening only on audio through Spotify or Apple, Also, please like us, subscribe us, and share it with everybody that may be interested in what is going on all around our wonderful conference. So, guys, thank you again today for being with us. I'm really thankful and grateful that you are allowing us to come here and meet you and greet you and celebrate what you guys are doing. So, just would you like to introduce yourself to the good people of the Oklahoma Annual Conference? Stan, why don't we start with you?
Okay, well, I'm Stan Mueller, and I'm the coordinator of the Garden of Eden, which is a community garden that is sponsored by Bartlesville First Methodist.
Awesome.
So
Yay.
I spend a lot
Yep.
of time in the garden.
Yeah. Needless to say. And Kurt?
Yeah. Kurt Haberstroh. I'm currently our head of trustees for Bartlesville First Church. Wife and I have been members for almost 13 years now out there, and great place to have a good faith community.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you guys again for doing this and taking the time for doing this. So, would you like us, why don't we start with Kurt now? Why don't you just tell us briefly about your ministry, how it started and how it sustained over time?
Yeah, so let me give you a little bit of background on kind of really starts with the beautiful piece of property that our church is located on. So in 2013, I believe, we moved out from our downtown church that had been there 100 years in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, out to a property on the west side of Bartlesville on 64 beautiful acres of land. We built the building with an idea of integrating nature into our mission work. For a long time, we had the Garden of Eden was in a very early part of that, along with an animal ministry that we had for a long time. As we kind of started building out that connection to nature and God, we developed the land around that. So now currently have a very large walking trail, a lot of nice nature stops along the way on that, and campgrounds, fellowship areas, and then a pond, lake we call it. It's a little bit bigger than most ponds. So it's a nice sized lake, which is a beautiful addition to our church property. We're able to host some fishing derbies out on that property there. Probably 8 years ago, we built a very nice baptismal area where you can walk down and get baptized directly in our lake. So those nice spring days and warm summers, have that as an option for our members that are coming to Jesus and accepting the faith to be baptized in our lake on the property. So it's a great experience for that. And then I think kind of the crown jewel of how we use our property there is with the Garden of Eden. And Stan's been doing a great job with running that, and the amount of food that's able to provide to our local community here. And we have a lot of members that are involved in that, but also it's a great mission that reaches out into the community, gets a lot of community involvement to help out in that space as well. So Stan can really dive down into that, but it's a great mission that we have.
Well, Stan, why don't we just go right into it, into your ministry, or you're part of the ministry on all this?
Well, the garden, Kurt mentioned the garden was started early on. When we bought the property, the garden was in operation before our new building was even finished, because people were anxious to get out there and start doing something. And so it's been in operation for about 16 years. And we have a group of about 10 or 12 dedicated gardeners, or what I call my regular gardeners, who are out there all the time. They're out there, on a regular basis, maintaining everything. And then every once in a while, we'll have a special work day where we'll put the call out to people in the church and the community to come out for just for a day to work and get ready for spring planting, that sort of thing. Our gardeners are not just members of our church. We have a lot of people from the entire community who come out on a regular basis and help, because They not only love gardening, but they love the idea of a community garden that gives back to the community. So last year, we harvested about 6,500 pounds of fresh produce and gave that to local agencies that are helping, people that are hungry or food insecure. So it's rewarding in many ways.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds very rewarding. And before we go to the next question, I just want to ask, um, um, what is your reach? It stays in Bartlesville or goes far beyond maybe Tulsa or areas around?
Every once in a while, it will reach out to other places in in the region, but
Mm-hmm.
mostly it's in Bartlesville. Yes,
Well, that's
because we
great.
have there's plenty of need right here.
Sure. Yes. No, I understand that. I mean, that is great. And well, I mean, the next question kind of goes into that, and I will start now with Stan. So what is you already kind of mentioned it, but what is the impact of this ministry in the Bartlesville community at large? I mean, you said already the thousands of pounds that you gave, and people volunteering. I don't know if there's anything else to be said about that.
Well, I think that we feel like we are being responsible stewards for what we've been given. Um, and we've been told to be stewards of the earth. And so if we have ownership of the land, we have the power to use it poorly or wisely. Well, we have the responsibility in that, so that's something that I think um, gives us the reasons why we're more of a community-wide thing. It's not just concentrated with our church. It's the entire community really supports it.
Yeah, and Kurt, what will be the impact of the trail and the pond or the lake and all the other campsite and things for the community at large in Bartlesville?
Yeah, it's a great space for the community to come to our property if they're members or not, to just get back to nature and enjoy the natural resources that we have at the church, right? And just the property in general, what we're able to do with that, especially around during COVID. We were able to have drive-in church services at our property on top of the virtuals that I know a lot of churches were having to offer at the time. But then also, having a space where you can connect with God out in the open, away from other people, all across our property on the trails. As far as community outreach, we've had a scout troop that has been involved with the church and able to offer merit badges out there, campouts out there at our facilities. I know they've done, canoeing merit badges, and our youth group has been able to bring out canoeing exercises and doing the fishing things that we're able to offer out at the church. Just a lot of opportunity for us to do that. We have, everyone's probably familiar with a trunk or treat that most churches are able to do around Halloween. We utilize our trails for our Halloween. We have different stations, kind of like a trunk or treat set up along our trail system where people are dressed up and able to do, the candy handouts for around Halloween time. So just a lot of really good things that we're able to offer is, sort of like block parties and things like that, bring out food trucks, have the blow ups out there. Everyone's invited, bring a dish. If you're a member, have a potluck, and the whole community will be there to sample your chili. Right. So a lot of excitement around the things we're able to offer to the congregation and the community as a whole, just with the ability that we have with the property that God's made available to us.
I mean, it sounds like a great space, a great opportunity to be a great community. It sounds like a whole lot of fun. I want to go to that. Is there trunk or treating? It's not trunk or treat, it's just trick or treating, I guess, in the trail.
The trick or treat on the trail. I can't remember exactly how our youth group markets it, but that's pretty much
That's
what it is.
awesome.
Trick or treat on the trail.
That's awesome. I want to be part of that. And yeah, if you have any, if you're in the Bartlesville area and around Halloween, make sure that you go over there. Probably already know it already. So if
Yeah,
you're not
Kurt,
around the Bartlesville, you should make you go to see what is going on over there. Now, Kurt, why, as Christians and as United Methodists, should we care for creation or have that creation as a priority? You guys are like right there in your property, as you say, and you are good stewards. But why would any Christian, and why would you, well, particularly as United Methodists, should care and be a priority for us?
I think as Christians are just members of the society and residents on this earth, we need to have a priority towards the creation that God provides us, right? And I think as you go out on the property, you see it every day. We're in a perfect time of year right now. Red buds are blooming. You're seeing creation in progress, and we have a responsibility to care and nurture for that. As Stan and his team go out and tend the gardens or tilling it up and planting and getting the winter weeds out of things, you see this food that is sprouting from there that we know how that's going to go and impact our community for the better for those that need it the most. And so, from that creation comes a lot of good. And those of us that have the ability need to take that as a responsibility to take care of and then offer to others.
Awesome, thank you. And Stan, same question. You're caring for the tilling the land, and you are like right there with your hands. So why would we? Maybe it's an obvious question, but why would we care basically to care for?
Well, I was thinking about that, and uh, the way I view it is what we're doing at the garden is not necessarily so much of taking care
Mm,
of a piece of land as it is using it
uh,
to help others. So
mm,
we're using
mm,
that land to fight hunger, and it also something Kurt said made me think about how the garden and the trails and the lake and everything really help us connect with the community. When we're out there gardening, we have people that walk by all the time. They're heading towards the walking trail. They got their dog with them or their kids, and we wave to them, and sometimes they stop and talk to us about the garden, and then they're off, onto the trail, and it makes us feel like we're really connecting with the community.
And how big is the? You said 68 acres. That's where the property sits. But how big is the garden for those who we not being able to presence that and being fortunate
Well,
enough to know?
it's really only about a third of an acre, the fenced in garden area, which doesn't sound like too much, but um, when we try and manage it so that we get maximum use out of it, we plant early season crops in the spring, and then we'll plant summer crops in the hot summer, and then we'll plant uh, cool season crops again in the fall. So we really have 3 seasons. So we're out there working, uh, a good 9 or 10 months of the year.
That is
And Stan
amazing.
mentioned the fence. It's a pretty significant fencing that they have around. So that a third of an acre fenced in like they have to protect the garden from our friendly rabbits and deer. Or is
Yeah,
a lot of work's gone into just that fence.
yeah.
Yeah, and the upkeep, I bet that is checking out that it's not work, it works still working and everything. Yeah, and the deer will be precious for them to eat all the goodies over there. So.
Yeah.
All right, and for both of you, maybe Stan starts. As we approach Easter, you're in the kind of at the tail end of Lent, and we're preparing, hopefully, here for Easter, preparing our hearts and minds. So, approaching Easter, what is your word to the Oklahoma Young Conference and to basically anybody who is listening today and for this podcast about creation and the promise of new life and the promise of hope, springing something new? As Kurt was saying, budding and new growth and that kind of thing. So Stan, what would you say? What is your word?
Well, I think that, I mean, we all recognize God as our creator, the creator of nature and all the everything that we have. But God continues to create. And so, it's almost like we feel like we're a part of the continuing creation that God is doing in the earth. And also, I like to think of gardening as a kind of a metaphor for hope, because you plant a if you plant a tomato seed or a carrot seed, they're so small, it's almost like a little speck of dust. But if you nurture it, it can turn into something wonderful. So makes
Well,
me think of hope.
beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. I preach. That's wonderful. And Kurt, same question.
Yeah, I mean, Stan answered it beautifully there. I'll go back again to the property, and kind of, as this time of year, it's hard not to see that promise of new life, of being saved. As you sit out on one of our meditation spots, especially by the lake, and you see that sunrise coming up over the water. We have a cross that we've put up in one of our fields, and the sun rises directly over that, shines across the lake, and it's just a kind of magical moment when that happens. And you see that and you meditate on it, and it fills you with hope. And as getting into this springtime, that really kind of hits home. You think about your faith, you think about the sacrifice that the Lord has made for you, and the hope that brings in salvation. And so it's hard not to know that there is a promise in this life and life after.
I mean, nothing more to be said. That's wonderful. Thank you guys for this time. Thank you for opening yourselves to do this, and thank you for allowing us to have a little glimpse. If it's okay if I invite those who are listening to us and seeing us to come to Bartlesville First and see firsthand what is going on, and maybe they have some property that say, I don't know what to do with it, and maybe they have getting inspired by it and by what you guys are doing and have done through these years, and maybe you can give them some pointers as to
Yes,
what
we'd
to
love
do
to
with
have
it.
them.
Great. Well, thank you again, Stan and Kurt. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your witness. Thank you for your ministry. May God bless you and continue to be a bright spot in the Bartlesville community. And thank you for again for being a witness of what Jesus does in our lives. So thank you again. And for
Thank
everybody
you.
else, oh, thank you. And for everybody else, see you soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Hello, you guys. I'm Carlos Ramirez. Today, I'm with my good friend Tim McHugh, and we're gonna hear all about the importance and the connection between Easter and disaster response, and the importance to be aware and to be ready for any disasters that may come our way. But before we start with our time together, I want to invite you, if you're seeing us on YouTube, please subscribe and like us and share with everybody that may want to know more about what's happening in the annual conference. Also, if you're just listening to us through the podcast, the audio podcast through Spotify or Apple, make sure that you also like us, subscribe, and share it, as I said, with anybody and everybody that would like to know about more what is going on in the Oklahoma Annual Conference and the wonderful things that God is doing through it. So today I'm with, as I said, with Tim McHugh. And Tim, would you like to introduce yourself to the good people of the Oklahoma Conference, just to, probably many people know you by now, but just in case, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, Carlos, for asking me to do this. I am Tim McHugh, the lead pastor at Grace United Methodist Church. It's a brand new church out in Claremore. You're welcome to attend. Welcome to visit us Sundays at 10 a.m. Before Grace, I was at Claremore First and then as the associate pastor of congregational care. And I was also part-time with the conference as the conference disaster response coordinator. And then I went on full-time with Claremore First, and Dana Parker took over for me from there. But that's where I'm at now. I'm at Grace United Methodist Church, a new church plant in Claremore.
Great. Yes, and you're doing a great job. And yes, please, if you're in the Tulsa, Claremore area, make sure that if you're in Sunday, please come and make sure that you come and worship with Tim and Grace there. So make sure that that is there, and we're gonna make sure that that information is there so that people can go and worship with you. But anyway, so this month for the conference communications, the theme is from darkness to light, right? We are in the kind of the last legs, if you will, of Lent and getting to preparing ourselves for Easter. So as we go on a journey of Lent to and the cross to death, to resurrection and Easter, I think that this also applies well for disaster and disaster response particularly. And since many families have experienced, loss through natural disasters, what has been your experience when people lose property, a way of life, and even loved ones in their path and their path for recovery through the ministry of disaster response and the teamwork that they're doing?
My biggest thing that I've noticed about disaster response and how it applies to darkness to light is we get to provide hope. We get to be a part of that journey. As tornado, flooding, whatever the disaster be, most people are in some state of trauma, some state of grief, and their whole world is turned upside down. And then I've heard myself people say, "Oh, good, the Methodists are here," just because we provide that hope and we provide that long-term care where a lot of other people don't. Hope and the ministry of presence. So many times as pastors, we want to speak as or even as a Christians, we want to share our faith and share the love of Jesus. But in the aftermath of a disaster, the best way we can do that is to just be there. We can represent the church with a T-shirt, with a hat. Many times we'll gather in prayer so that the community can see us, and then we won't mention Jesus until they do, which kind of goes against everything we're taught. But the last thing people want to hear after a disaster or after any kind of struggle is, "Oh, bless your heart," or God has plans for this. So people just don't want to hear that. So just being there and being the hands and feet and doing the work is extremely important. So when I do these trainings, when I do these ERT trainings, and that's one of the things I teach is that we're not there to introduce people to Jesus. We're there to meet Jesus where he's at, and be the hands and feet of Jesus. It's incredible, powerful ministry. Just being quiet is an incredibly powerful ministry.
Yeah, I love that part of when you're saying that you're bringing hope and presence, and that you let basically the rest to Jesus and to the Holy Spirit to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's great. I really enjoy that and like that just being there, All right, so I mean, just this last week, this few days back, even depending on when you're watching this and when this is aired, we just have some storms coming through Oklahoma. So, what is the best way that we can be ready for the impending season right now? The harsh season and weather that is coming our way.
Well, it's funny because this morning, I mean, it's not funny, but it's just interesting because this morning we had a tornado that touched down in Owasso, and it about 10 miles down the road, and one of the first it was a very small path, but there was some houses that were destroyed, some businesses. One of the first things I did was I reached out to Dana Parker, let her know that a tornado touched down, and I'll keep her posted. and I've been keeping him posted throughout the day. And then I reached out to Terry and let him know that I'm reaching out to churches. I reached out to Michael Robinette from the Tapestry, asked if there was anything we could do, and the second thing that we can do, besides reaching out to our friends and our churches, is find out what our church can do. Um, every single church out there is an asset in some way or another. Whether they have land that people can park in, or people can collect resources. If they have a phone, people can call from there. If they have electricity, people can charge their cell phones. People can come there just to hang out, fellowship, take a shower, charge their phone, watch TV, just anything. Churches have people look to churches during disaster. So just your church being a present is huge. And the other thing is prepared. Be prepared. Mention to congregations about training, ERT training. I'll come out. I'll do the training. It'll be certified through UMCOR, United Methodist Committee on Relief, and they'll be able to go anywhere and serve in a disaster, and then up a keep on those trainings. But those are two ways you can get involved as an individual. Get the training, pay attention to the news, reach out to churches. I mean, it's incredibly rewarding, especially when someone from conference reaches out to a small church pastor and says, "Hey, we're here for you. If there's anything we can do, let us know." And then to follow up on that, and then churches for the same can reach out to conference, because conference is a big machine. So churches need to reach out to conferences as well and say, "Hey, we were hit. Is there anything that conference can do for us? Conference can provide help, assistance, anything." So it's a two-way street. Communication is definitely key. Communication and training, for sure.
So, and can you tell us what I heard ERT stands for?
ERT is early response team. It's a program that's in conjunction with VIM, Volunteers in Mission, and UMCOR, United Methodist Committee on Relief. UMCOR provides the admin and that kind of stuff, support during a disaster, and VIM provides the people, and it's an incredible partnership that started because of a tornado or a hurricane.
Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you for that. And again, so preparedness, if something happens, the first thing you can do is reach out, see what's going on, see how you can, everybody's okay. And then just be present again. What are your assets? But then on the preparedness is maybe you want to be trained as a team, and be, I guess, weather aware, right? I mean, we all Oklahomans are kind of known to know if something's happening, kind of that. But it's good to be reminded of that. So, I mean, I think you answered that already, many ways. But if there's anything you can add for how can people get involved in being the hands, Jesus's hands and feet to aid our brothers and sisters victims of natural disasters? I mean, I said you already said it, but I mean, I don't know if there's anything to add.
Now, what I would do is, I would highly stress that when there's a disaster in your community, is open your doors, turn the lights on, put whatever, a flag, a sign, change a sign that says you are open and you are here, because we had people when the tornado hit in May in Clamwell, we provided a station for people to come and hang out. And we handed out, $7,000 worth of grocery cards and gas cards, and for a small church, that's a lot. But it didn't come from us; it came from the community, because the community will notice that you are open and that you are there. And we had several people join the church because we were there. And one lady, we gave her a generator, and she actually brought it back, which never happens. Usually, they never return the gear that we hand out. Love in action is just incredible. Just opening your doors and turning on the lights is an incredible way to show the presence of church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Love in action. Turn on your lights, and that is a good metaphor for that as well. So as we wrap it up, as we and again, I want to thank you for these time that you set aside for us. Um, so as I said, we're wrapping up. What is your Easter message to the Oklahoma Annual Conference, to all the churches, to all the brothers and sisters, lay and clergy, everybody? What is your Easter message through the lenses of disaster response?
Well, I'm gonna apply to right now. I'm doing a series called Interruptions of Grace, and it's interruptions that Jesus interrupts our life, or Jesus interrupts the culture that's going on. And there's no bigger interruption many times in our lives than a disaster, whether it be flooding, fire, tornado, anything can be a disaster. Anything can be an interruption to our normal routine. But my message would be, and what I'm trying to get across with my sermon series is, as well as, interruptions are opportunities to be the hands and feet of God, opportunities to be that bridge to bring people from darkness to light. Bring it's an opportunity to show that God cares, that God is there. It's just extremely powerful to be able to step back and look at the blessings that are coming out of this interruption or this disaster. Looking back now, we can see all the blessings that have come out of tragedies, but at the moment we don't see them. But if we see them from the beginning as an opportunity to shine in a world right now that's so dark, then we need to take advantage of that, and we need to pray to see them as opportunities.
Right. Just allow yourself to be interrupted by God.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes, and using these interruptions of disasters not as a obviously they are not a message from God. There's not a plan or necessarily from God or anything. It's just that that happened, and how can when we respond to be God's feet and hands and Jesus's hands and feet to hurting people. That's what I'm listening.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. It's an opportunity. An interruption is an opportunity
opportunity.
to be the hands and feet of God, or to be the presence, to allow the Holy Spirit to work through you into other people, and it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Tim, thank you so much for what you have done before with disaster response, what you continue to do for the church, now when you're as a role planter and shepherding people, but also I know that these uh, calling for being a disaster response leader and team building is still part of who you are. So I give you thanks for that, of what you continue to do, as I said, for beyond the conference, for everybody who is just the brothers and sisters in Christ and those who need it the most. So thank you for that. Is there anything else that you want to say final to everybody who's listening to us today?
Now, just have a happy Lent, and I look forward to seeing you all out there.
Yes. See you when I see you, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you again, Tim, for your time. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon. Have a good one.